When I first arrived on Valora Prime, I thought I'd been assigned to a peacekeeping mission. The briefing packet said human-alien relations exchange, but no one mentioned the Valorians were a warrior species who considered battle a form of flirtation. I was Lieutenant Mason Hale, human liaison from Earth's coalition fleet, and the first thing I did when I stepped off the shuttle was nearly get decapitated by a 7-foot alien woman in armor made of iridescent scales. "Identify yourself," she barked, leveling a blade the size of my leg toward my chest. I froze. Her eyes were the color of molten gold, her voice low and resonant, and her presence overwhelming. "Lieutenant Mason Hale," I managed. "Earth representative. I come in peace." Her gaze flicked up and down my body, assessing, calculating. Then she lowered her sword slightly. "Peace is earned, not declared," she said. "Follow." That was my introduction to Commander Kilira Voss, the Valorian guard captain assigned as my escort. In human terms, that meant babysitter. The beginning, the warrior and the fool. Over the next few weeks, Kilira was my constant shadow. She took me through the sprawling citadel of crystalline towers, watched me struggle with their gravity-dense terrain, and occasionally corrected my inefficient walking pattern with a shove between my shoulder blades. Valorians didn't do small talk. They trained, sparred, and meditated. Their world was built around discipline, honor, and physical strength, which is why what happened next was so incredibly stupid. We were in the training yard one afternoon. Kilira was sparring with 2 other guards, and she was poetry in motion. Every strike flowed into the next, every movement a perfect blend of power and precision. The crystalline sunlight reflected off her armor, making her look like a living flame. When she finally disarmed both opponents and turned toward me, panting slightly, I blurted the dumbest thing I could have possibly said. "Your form is amazing," I said. "And, your butt's not bad either." The training yard went silent. Every Valorian eye turned to me. One of the guards actually dropped his spear. Kilira's head tilted. Slowly. Deliberately. "What did you just say, human?" My brain went into self-destruct mode. I meant it as a compliment. I said quickly, "You're very fit. Professionally speaking." A few of the other warriors muttered something in their language that I didn't understand, but judging from their expressions, it was somewhere between horror and amusement. Kilira walked up to me close. Her eyes locked onto mine. She leaned down until I could feel her breath against my cheek. "On Valora," she said softly, "to compliment a warrior's body is to make a challenge or a proposal." I swallowed. Hard. Which one did I just make? She smiled. And somehow that was more terrifying than the sword. "We shall find out." The middle, the challenge of the warrior queen. The next morning, I was woken by the sound of armor clanging outside my quarters. When I opened the door, Kilira stood there, fully armored, 2 practice blades in hand. "Come," she said. "We fight." "Wait, what? Why?" "You issued a challenge. You will prove your worth." I groaned. "Can't I just take it back?" She handed me one of the training swords. It was heavy, like swinging a bar of iron. A true warrior does not withdraw words once spoken. And that's how I found myself sparring with an alien woman who could probably bench press a small shuttle. To my credit, I didn't die. I dodged, stumbled, rolled, and occasionally managed to parry. She moved like lightning, testing my balance, my courage, my limits. Every time I fell, she barked at me to rise. Every time I failed, she made me try again. By the end, I was drenched in sweat, my muscles screaming. She finally lowered her sword and said, "You are weak, but not cowardly. You fight when cornered. That is acceptable." Then she added, "You will join me again tomorrow." That became our routine. Every day, training. Every night, I collapsed into bed wondering how my body hadn't fallen apart yet. But somewhere along the way, things changed. She started laughing when I tripped over my own feet. She shared stories of her battles, her scars, and the stars she'd conquered. I told her about Earth, about music, oceans, and how coffee was humanity's most sacred invention. One evening, after another exhausting session, she sat beside me on the edge of the training platform. The twin suns of Valora painted the horizon in gold and crimson. "You are unlike the others," she said. "Most humans who come here are afraid of us. But you look at me as though I were just a person." "Maybe because you are," I said. "Just taller, stronger, and way more terrifying." Her lips curved into a faint smile. "Terrifying, And yet, you stand beside me." "I think I'm just bad at following warnings," I said. Her gaze lingered on me a long moment, something flickering behind her eyes. Then she whispered, "You honor me, Mason of Earth." The ceremony of bonds. Weeks passed. Our partnership became something deeper, though I couldn't quite name it. There was tension, sure, but also mutual respect. Then came the Festival of Blades, the Valorian celebration of unity and combat prowess. Every warrior chose a partner for the ceremonial duel, a dance of strength and trust. Kilira didn't ask. She simply approached me in front of the entire garrison and said, "You will stand with me." I was halfway through saying, sure, when she clasped a metal cuff around my wrist. It shimmered, glowing faintly. "What's this?" I asked. "The bond mark," she said calmly. "It binds two warriors during the ceremony to move as one." The problem was, no human had ever participated before. The audience was massive. Valorians crowded the terraces, cheering as we stepped into the arena. Kilira turned to me, eyes fierce. "Do not falter," she said. "Our hearts must strike in rhythm." The music began, a deep, pulsing drumbeat that echoed across the arena. We fought together, moving in perfect synchronization. She led, I followed. Slash, block, pivot, spin. It was less a duel and more a dance, and for the first time I understood why they called it a ceremony. Halfway through, something unexpected happened. Our cuffs flared, a surge of energy coursing between us. My mind filled with flashes, Kilira's thoughts, her emotions. I saw her childhood, her first victory, her loneliness as a commander. And she saw me, my fears, my humor, my desperate attempt to belong in a world that wasn't mine. When the energy faded, she looked at me with wide eyes. "You did not resist the bond," she whispered. "You accepted it." "I didn't exactly have a manual," I said, still breathless. The crowd roared as we ended the ceremony with a final strike. Our blades crossed. The match was a draw. But for Kilira, that was everything. She turned to the crowd and declared, "This human fights with honor. He is no mere envoy. He is my chosen battle partner." Then she added something that made my heart skip, and, by Valorian right, my future mate. The arena exploded in cheers. I just stood there, jaw hanging open. The conflict, when duty and desire collide. The next day, I was summoned by the coalition ambassador. His expression was tight. "Lieutenant Hale," he said, "what in God's name did you do?" I participated in a cultural exchange." "You got bonded, Hale. Do you understand what that means? They think you're engaged to that alien commander." I rubbed the back of my neck. "Well, she's not exactly wrong." The ambassador groaned. "You're here to maintain diplomacy, not start an interspecies romance." But diplomacy, as it turned out, was the problem. A rival faction on Valora opposed the peace treaty, seeing humans as weak. They demanded a trial of worth, a combat challenge to determine if humanity deserved alliance status. Kilira was appointed champion for our side. The opposing faction chose their own, General Torvak, a brute twice her size. "You can't fight him," I told her. "He'll kill you." Her eyes blazed. "If I fall, our bond dies with me. You will feel my death." That thought made something inside me snap. "Then I'll fight with you." She turned sharply. "It is forbidden." "I don't care." Her hand cupped my cheek, gentle for the first time. "Foolish human," she whispered. "You truly are mine." The climax, battle under twin suns. The arena was silent when we entered. Torvak towered over both of us, his armor etched with war scars. "This is your champion?" he laughed. A soft-skinned weakling from Earth. Kilira stepped forward, voice like thunder. "He has more heart than 10 of your kind." The duel began in a storm of motion. Kilira met Torvak's blows head-on while I used my smaller frame to move fast, striking at weak points. The bond between us pulsed, our minds connected again, sharing instinct, timing, pain. When Torvak knocked her down, I felt it like my own ribs cracked. I leaped onto his back, drove my blade into a joint in his armor. Kilira seized the opening and thrust her sword through his chestplate. The giant fell, collapsing with a roar that shook the arena. The silence that followed was electric. Then the crowd erupted in thunderous applause. Kilira, bleeding but smiling, turned to me. "Together," she said, "we conquered." The ending, 2 worlds, 1 bond. The treaty was signed the next day. Humanity was now an honored ally of Valora Prime. As for Kilira and me, the ambassador tried to have me reassigned, until the Valorian Council officially listed me as Kilira's bonded companion. Legally, I was now part of her household. When I confronted her about it, she simply smirked. "You said my form was amazing. It would dishonor me to leave your challenge unanswered." I sighed. "So, this is your way of winning?" Her golden eyes softened. "No, Mason. This is my way of keeping you alive." That night, under the twin moons, she reached for my hand. The cuff still glowed faintly between our wrists, a reminder of everything that had changed. "You once said humans are fragile," she murmured. "But you are the strongest man I have known. And you," I said, smiling, "are the most terrifying woman I've ever fallen for." Her laugh echoed through the night, rich, fierce, and alive. And as she pulled me closer, her voice was a whisper against my ear. "Then let us face the stars, my future mate."